One of the most difficult things I've learned about life is you could do everything right and still lose. Yeah, you could make no mistakes and still lose. Unfortunately, a lot of people will go along life, a lot of young people will go along life living in a state of serendipity where everything kind of goes well for them until it doesn't. We did everything right. We worked really hard, but something happened and this one thing didn't go to plan. This one thing didn't materialize the way it should have materialized. And so here comes the concept of luck. Luck exists. There is some degree of chance in every aspect of life, and some people are going to be lucky. Some people are going to be lucky in love. Some people are going to be lucky when they have children. Some people are going to be lucky in their finances, and some people are going to be lucky with everything. On the other hand, some people are going to be unlucky with everything, and unfortunately that's just how life is. We live in a very unfair world, and it's very sad, very depressing. One of the hardest parts of being a Muslim woman, our whole lives we have this idea of marriage, of building a family, of finding the one that completes our deen, that one person who we're meant to spend the rest of our lives with, and we are meant to be chaste for up until our 20s to 30s. We are meant to be on our best behavior and then give it all to the right person, and we could do all the correct screening, we could do all of the background check, analyze all of the red flags, and things could still look good from the outset until you're in that marriage, and then you see what it is, and instantly, despite what everyone tells you, everyone could say it is your fault, you know, you should have seen this coming. It might not have been visible at all, or maybe it was what it was meant to be, and then suddenly life took a turn for the worst and you got unlucky, and now you're really unhappy. This is not the marriage you wanted. This is not the dream you envisioned. This is not what you spent all 18, 20, 30 years of your life being a chaste and good woman for. But this is what you got. And it's really unfortunate, because you could have two women sisters. They have the same level of intelligence, the same status, you know, they're both of good family. They could both also be really beautiful, good looking, you know, they have everything going for them. But both of them, because of their marriage or their spouse, could end up in two completely different looking marriages. One could be in a very fortunate marriage where she loves her husband, her husband does everything for her, provides for her financially, everything is in her favor, her in-laws are good to her, she lives in a huge house, she doesn't have to work, her husband is fiercely loyal to her, you know, and he's just a good man. And then you could have another sister, exactly the same, you know, variables as the first sister, but then her husband is abusive, her in-laws are abusive, her life is a completely different story post-marriage. And they started with the same things, they both went into it with the same expectations, they both did the same amount of screening, but they both ended up in completely different marriages. And that is just how it is. And a lot of young people will sit here and say, oh my gosh, everything is in our control, it's all something we can change, or if we're not in the right marriage, we just get out. And so a lot of women do, you know, especially in the West, where it's easy nowadays to get a divorce. We're not living in countries that are heavy on Sharia, so a lot of women can divorce easy peasy. And what tends to happen is, if you're unlucky in love, which a lot of us will be, it all becomes a game of chance, a game of finding the right person. And we fall into this trap where we try and we look for, you know, a favorable outcome for ourselves. We try again, you know, this time we have less resources, we have less time, we're older, and we're entering a completely different playground. It's not the same people that we had as options anymore. It's a different group of options now, and it seems like a pool of favorable people whom we assume our luck will be better with becomes narrower and narrower. When you end up in unlucky situations, you are able to look back and see exactly the thing you lost control over, because we're humans, we don't have control over everything. We tend to keep control of the things that we are aware of, but sometimes there are things that we are not aware of that we didn't really look at. So for example, let's say your husband was not financially supportive in your previous marriage, so then there were red flags about it, that you completely missed because, you know, you didn't think that it would lead to him not being able to provide for you. So number one, he didn't have a house. Number two, you didn't know much about his job situation. You also didn't know anything about his debt situation. You didn't know anything about his spending habits. You didn't know anything about his addictions, his vices, what he spends his money on. You didn't know what to check. So now you know what to check. So you go into the next playing field armed. You're up in arms and you think, yeah, I know exactly what to look out for now. I'm gonna ask all of these questions. I'm gonna make sure I get it right this time, you know. And so you ask all the right questions. You become better at screening. You become better at being able to pick apart who is a good partner versus who is not a good partner. Which person satisfies your expectations versus the person that doesn't. And find somebody who you think is the better match for you second time round. So you marry them and you hope to God this time around you're luckier. And yes, it turns out you are luckier, but you're still not as lucky as that other girl because now you have a different set of problems. Now your husband wants to look at other women. Now your husband, this new guy, he seems to have bad self-control when it comes to his nafs, and now this man is looking for a second wife. And he's always wanted a second wife, you know, and he's told you after you got married that he may have a second wife in the future, and this is not ideal for you. This is not the type of marriage you want to be in. You don't want a man who is going to share his love and affection with another woman. That's not the type of marriage Khadija has, who is really lucky in love. She got the right guy. He's so loyal. He provides for her. And so now you feel like you got duped again. Your luck was bad again. It was bad again because despite doing everything right, like the first time and the second time, you still lost, okay? You still ended up with a guy who is not the guy you want to spend the rest of your life with. You're older now. You have more children. You have less resources. You have less time. But you're gonna take your chances again because life's too short. And you cannot live with the fact that you are unlucky in love. And for you, it is so important to be lucky in love. You want to have that Cinderella moment, that Prince Charming moment. So you divorce and you get yourself out back into the game again, and the cycle continues. Eventually you're gonna run out of chances. You're taking a chance every single time. You only have 9 lives, sister. Eventually you're gonna have to settle, you know. And what if after trying and trying you're still unlucky? You still can't find the one. You have to settle. Eventually you will have to settle. And this is hard because, you know, a lot of women will find the right guy the second time around, or they'll find the right guy the third time around, or if they're really lucky they'll find him the first time around. But after a while, if it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. And that's just the reality of life. You're gonna be unlucky and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's why so many people end up depressed. So many people end up really unsatisfied with their lives because they tried so hard and they did everything right and things still didn't work out in their favor. What you can't control, you can't control. If you can't control it, then you spend all your life trying because you believe that you will have that one thing you want so bad and you never get it. You're old, you're pushing 90, you're single, your kids have grown up, you're dreaming about that lucky in love that you never were. And so that's why a lot of people like myself, we believe in God. You know, we turn to religion, I turn to religion because there has to be some advantage and some justification given to me for all of the suffering and for all the difficulty that I went through that somebody else didn't have to go through. Who's somebody else, who my sister, my friend, we were on the same level playing field, we started on the same foot, didn't go through. Somebody else is gonna be luckier than you. And somebody else is gonna have everything. They're gonna have it all. Some of us are out here working, blood, sweat, and tears, sacrificing our time, our strength, everything for this one small thing that somebody else could just one day wake up, go downstairs, open their front door, and that one thing that you are working for like a dog, they just get for free. It's outside their door, nicely wrapped up in a package. All they have to do is open it and It's really funny. We think the whole point of life is to win. We're all in this imaginary competition with each other, trying to beat one another at life, you know, because it's an ego trip. It's a game. But a lot of the times, actually, that is not the purpose of life, and that is not the purpose of living. And that's how the devil thinks. Many of us are here to struggle, to suffer, and to prove ourselves. And as a Muslim, that's what I believe. And so, whatever situation I'm in, good or bad, lucky or unlucky, it's all a test to me, and I don't really care. My goal on a whole is to do my best